Well, first I want to tell everyone about my grandmother. She came from Oklahoma, or to Oklahoma. She came from Pennsylvania in a covered wagon during the land run in the late 1800s in Oklahoma. She's just a little girl then. And why am I telling this story? Well, she grew up to be a young woman and to raise a very large family in the 1920s and 1930s during what is called the Great Depression in the United States of America, where people were just starving to death. They didn't have money for anything, not even groceries. They were in the cities, they went hungry many days. If they were in the country, they at least could maybe hunt for food and raise a little food. My grandfather would walk to town and carry food back on his shoulders. Even though they had horses, he would not work the horses because he didn't have food for the horses. So again, why am I telling that story? Well, a lot of people will take their pilgrimage to Bethel at New York. A lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, I should say. That's where they take their family. We've never been, but we have been watching the JW broadcasting where they say don't let your spirituality get away from you by going vacationing like to Disney World or Disneyland. Well, friends, we decided not to do that this trip. We didn't go to Disneyland, but instead we're in beautiful San Diego at the Beth Sarim home. And if you can see the Beth Sarim home, if you can pan that for us, Andrea, it's a mansion, really beautiful home. Of course, if you notice there, it looks like they may be getting a high definition big screen TV installation hookup. Well, Judge Rutherford said that when Abraham and all those men of old came back, they was going to be dressed just like us and talk just like us at ease. So I guess that means they would like to have their big screen TVs just like the rest of us. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I can tell you, get a little different angle, different view, but I can tell you, I grew up in Oklahoma where there was mansions back in the 30s during the Depression because of the oil field. Some of the rich oil men had mansions. And today, I got to tell you, those mansions are not really mansions there in Oklahoma because by today's standards, they're just normal homes that people live in. But I got to tell you, this here is still a mansion. I've looked at it on Earth Google, and it is beautiful. It is large. I'm going to have to research the square footage, but I would say go right ahead. Quite likely, I've been to the Grace Mansion, we had a king here in the United States called Elvis Presley, and he's got what's called the Graceland Mansion, and you could probably fit 2, maybe 3 of his homes into this here. I'll research the square footage and get back to document that. But anyway, it's just a pitiful shame that while people were starving, they were out. One thing about my grandmother that my mama asked about Jehovah's Witnesses, the only thing she had to say was that it just irritated her that during a time when she had such a rough time raising a family during those difficult times called the Great Depression, the Jehovah's Witnesses was coming by begging for, well, nobody had money, but what did they beg for? They begged for some of her preserves, some of her jams, some of her canned goods. She says, I worked hard at putting that up, and they wanted me to give that for their magazines. You know, the Jehovah's Witnesses today may not understand that, but when I grew up, we were selling the magazines. And we did even then. I remember we did bartering for them. Lots of times I would ask them for pop bottles back when we'd sell pop bottles or soap, or even those old timers that might remember S&H green stamps. We would ask for S&H green stamps in turn for our magazines, for our Watchtower and Awake. So, you know, things have changed. They're getting money a little different way, but it's still a crying shame. If I had known about Rutherford, Judge Rutherford, and how he lived in a life of luxury with his luxury automobiles and luxury mansion, and then having the friends get out and beg for money, I don't think I would have done it. But see, that's something I never knew because I just kind of kept hush about what all happened and his failed prophecy. Because those of you Jehovah's Witnesses that might be watching, the prophecy was, and this will make more sense if you didn't understand it at the beginning about Abraham and everything. The failed prophecy that Judge Rutherford had was that the ancient ones of old, like Abraham and those like that, they would be resurrected back there in the 1920s, and they were going to live here in this house. Well, just to kind of house set for him, he was going to, Judge Rutherford just would stay here and watch the house for them until they come back. And, I don't think they've ever come back. We've seen several people walking, and nobody's identified themselves as one of the ancient men or women. But it's a beautiful neighborhood. I mean, it's a beautiful area here, the palm trees. I mean, this is our first trip to California, and we've really enjoyed it and enjoyed our family spiritual pilgrimage to see Beth Sarim. I mean, it's just, words can't describe it, it's just, there's a beautiful, did you see that big dog up there in the window? Did you zoom in and get in? Beautiful. Well, I'm going to cut it out, and we're going to maybe go visit some more friends here in the area.